Well, it's August, so it's time to see what happened in July in the real estate market. My name is Shaun Larson. I am a real estate broker here locally, and we're going to share a little bit of information about what happened in July in Williamson County. Now, while these stats are Williamson County, I am more than happy to run all this information for any county, city, area, or specific property region that you'd like. So feel free to reach out and I'll be happy to get that information to you. So in July, as you may have noticed, we're starting to see a little bit of a market change. It's no surprise. Over the last 24 to 30 months, we've had unprecedented levels in just about everything. So it's natural that we slow down a little bit. Doesn't mean we're crashing. You're going to see a lot in the news, a lot of doom and gloom. After you come off a market that's so ultra hot, it's natural to kind of come back to a more balanced market. Does it mean we're going to go all the way to a buyer's market? Don't know. We'll check that out and see. But in July, what we did is we had 412 properties close, and that was down about 33%. And again, this is Williamson County. We had an average days on market of about 10 days, and that was about a zero change. That was about flat. And just for reference, days on market is how long a property is actively listed. So for instance, if it goes in MLS, it's listed, it becomes active. Those days stop counting once the property goes under contract. Now, if for some reason it should fall out of contract and come back on the market, the days start counting. So the average was 10, and that's about the same as it was in 2021, which brings up a good point. The statistics that we're reviewing here are year over year, because real estate is naturally a cyclical thing. It's over time and throughout the year. So in order to have a good basis of how the numbers are stacking up, you want to compare the similar time of another year, maybe just not last month. That is another type of analyzation there, but we are comparing year over year. So we're comparing July 2022 over July 2021. And so the average days on market was zero, was 10, and that's about 0% change. And keep in mind, that's an average. So say, for instance, you have a group of properties that might be going under contract somewhere between 0 and 20 days. But then you have an outlier property that might be a little bit of a distressed property, and it might be racking them up. It might be at 720 days. Maybe it's been on the market for a couple years. Well, guess what? Those 700 days are going to start affecting the statistics over here for the 0 to 20 group, because that's being averaged out. So what we also look at is we also look at a stat which is called the median. And the median number was 4. And that's up 33%, but that's only up from a matter of 3 days. So not a huge deal there from 3 days to 4 days. And what the median is, instead of taking the broad average, the median is the middle of a group. So if you had 100 properties, the property in position 50 there, that's going to be your median. So you can kind of tell how many properties were below and above, and it gives you another measure instead of letting that one distressed property with 720 days on market skew the average there. So we go from there. Average properties that were active in the months. Back in 2021, in July, there were about 645 active properties per day. Jump ahead to 2022, and that jumps up 70%. That jumps up to 1095. So substantially more listings on the market right now. Now keep in mind too, when we look at these statistics, everybody can look at them a different way depending on where you are in the transaction. So it is very common for the analysts and the news to kind of report on the market as though everybody was a seller. Well, keep in mind, the other part of the transaction are buyers. So the buyers might see this increase in inventory as like a good thing, because now all of a sudden they have options. They don't have to waive all their inspections and appraisal contingencies and everything. So keep in mind that statistics can be viewed a very different way depending on where you are in the transaction. But the property average listings did jump up 70% in July over 2021. Average list price, that increased by about 8%. In Williamson County. So the average list price was about $1.15 million. The average sales price, what it closed for, that also increased 20%. So the average close price was just over $1 million, about 1.07. So you can see that the list prices have come up, the closing prices have come up. So even though there's more inventory on the market, homes are still selling. Most people predict that the price, the values will continue to increase. You're not going to see the rocket increases that you did over the last 24 months or so. Those are almost unprecedented for most people. So most people predict that prices will continue to increase. With the increased inventory, buyers are going to have more options. It's actually going to bring a reduced stress level to the whole process, because even those sellers over the last couple of years were getting just awesome prices for their homes, contingencies waived. Don't think that the sellers weren't stressed out either. It's one thing to be analyzing just a couple offers that come in. It's another thing for a seller to have to process 20 offers that come in. So a little bit of cooling in the market can be a good thing for both sides. So we're kind of in a balanced market right now. We might go to a buyer's market. We'll see. The numbers tell us that. You'll see also in the news where a little bit of doom and gloom, where it's either ultra hot or it's ultra slow. That they usually don't consider the middle part. So you kind of have three markets. You have a seller's market, a balanced market, and a buyer's market. And there's a transition there. A balanced market is kind of where both a buyer and seller, the market works well for them, and it's not tipped in either favor. But it is very common for people, especially if they've only seen an ultra hot market. As soon as that cools a little bit, all of a sudden they jump to the conclusion they're in a buyer's market. They kind of forget about the balance part in the middle. So balance works well. Inventory flows, people free up their listings, buyers come in. It's actually a more pleasurable experience, I think, for everybody, because their stress levels are down. So those are just a few stats for July 2022. Again, they are over or in comparison to 2021. This is Williamson County. I am happy to run reports for any county, area, city that you may need. If you're considering buying or selling, whether that be short-term or long-term, please reach out. I'd love to connect with you, and we'll come up with a plan for you. Again, my name is Shaun Larson, real estate broker. Hope to talk to you soon.